Hello everyone, and welcome to Angel Healing House. My name is Claire Candy Hough, and as a licensed Reiki Master Teacher, an angel practitioner, an international radio host, and as an author and a writer, I've been given the infinite joy and honor of being able to channel angel messages, in particular for my angelic family who are called the Posse of Angels. And in today's YouTube video, the Posse of Angels wish to talk about a topic called following your amazing intuition. Now, the Posse of Angels wish to remind everyone that we all have intuitive abilities. This is just not relegated to those who call themselves clairvoyants, and one doesn't have to utilize it in a professional business in order to benefit from acting upon their intuition. You know, if we follow this God-given inner barometer, our lives go from a constant effort of control to one of allowance and one of ease. So if listening to our intuition and acting upon it will help our lives flow and bring outcomes which are more incredible than our rationalizing minds could ever conjure up, why do many people tend to discount their intuition? Well, the Posse of Angels is saying that most of the world was taught and programmed to think with their heads and not their hearts. I'm sure that many have experienced situations where their intuition told them to do something, and then they chose not to follow it. And in the end, they may have experienced an outcome that was not wholly satisfying, as it seemed more like a compromise and truly less than what they really desired. In many instances, people do not follow their intuition because if they did, it would make them appear different from those who go about their lives in very logical ways. It isn't always easy to go against the expected ways of living, but I can tell you personally that having lived this way for the past 11 years, my husband and I have listened and stepped forward solely when we heard the voice of God speaking in our hearts, as He showed us the signs as to where to live and what actions to take. And as a result, we've experienced magical synchronicities that have led us to live in amazing places and meet incredible connections to further the fulfillment of our dreams. And while I've experienced countless miraculous stories as a result of following my intuition, one of my favorite examples came about 4 months before I met my beloved husband, Pete. You see, in the 4 years leading up to January 2003, I was going through the darkest times of my life, anorexic and devoid of all hope. I prayed for God to end the pain and darkness. His answer to me came in the form of an angelic walk-in experience and spiritual awakening, as I remembered my divine eternal nature once again. By reconnecting to the divine within myself, I acknowledged, I honored, and respected who I was, and in doing so, I was able to clearly discern the voice of God speaking through my heart as to how to be of best service to myself and to others. Wishing to have a beloved, cherished partner to walk this path of service, I felt compelled to write a decree to God, thanking Him for my twin flame relationship. I not only wrote His characteristics, but that we were the best of friends. Nothing was more important than the relationship, and we traveled the world together. We worked together, and He treated me like His princess. Now, after I finished writing this decree, I saw it as a sacred pact with God. I slept with it under my pillow. I read it out morning and night. And as I read it out aloud, I didn't ask God for my twin flame, but I thanked Him for my beloved, because I knew that he was already mine, even though he had not manifested in the physical as yet. After about 6 weeks of doing this every day, I could energetically feel him with me, and I felt like the time was drawing near that we would meet. Now, in that week that I began to feel his energetic presence, I had started to look for a financial advisor, and I synchronistically bumped into a very dear friend who I'd not seen for a very long time. When I mentioned my search to her, she got very excited and recommended her financial advisor, who I quickly contacted and set up a meeting with. A few hours before the appointment, the advisor called and asked me if I minded driving out closer to his office, as he had a very tight schedule that day. As his office was almost an hour away, I was going to reschedule for another time, but immediately my intuition told me to drive out to meet him. We agreed that we would meet at a cafe next to a new shopping center not far from his office. After my appointment was over, I had a strong urge to check out this new unexplored center. Now, as I entered the mall, I looked at the directory and saw that most of the stores were on the higher levels. Walking into the elevator, I felt that something was pressing for me to go down to the basement. And as the elevator door opened onto the basement, I saw that this level contained services like the post office, a bank, and a pharmacy. It was then that I saw a small sign that had arrows pointing around a corner, and it read, "Your Divine Destiny." Upon reading the sign, I received shivers up and down my body as confirmation of my intuition telling me to follow those arrows. At the end of the corridor, I saw Tibetan flags surrounding the entrance to a New Age shop. When I entered the store, the girl behind the counter said, "Hi, Mirabelle will be ready in just a minute for your reading." Upon hearing the word reading, massive shivers shot through my body, and all of a sudden, a large woman appeared, smiled, and gestured for me to come over. Feeling as if some energetic force was drawing me over to her table, I sat down. She told me to pick 11 cards from her tarot deck, and as I was choosing the card, she said, "You've undergone a great shift within." She then continued without even glancing at the cards, "You have come from another realm, the angelic realm, and your mission is very grand." Taking the cards that I'd drawn, she looked at them and smiled and said, "My dear sweet child, did you know that you're supposed to be meeting your twin flame?" I smiled and said I knew that he was coming. And all of a sudden a dark cloud seemed to appear on Mirabelle's face. It completely changed her expression. With great seriousness she said, and in your present condition he will not be able to see you, and your meeting will never take place. You hardly have any body fat on you, as you choose to not eat and live primarily in the etheric world. Your beloved is an earth sign, and you are of the earth now, and you must eat, my dear child. Go home, fatten up, gain weight, and then and only then will he be able to see you and be attracted to your physical form. Looking down at the cards again, she stressed in a very stern voice, "Heed their warning." I said, "Do they have to tell me anything else?" And she said, "When you meet your twin flame, all else will be revealed." When I took out my wallet to pay her, she smiled and said, "There will be no charge." From that moment on, I couldn't stop stuffing food into my mouth, and slowly my anorexic skeletal form started to fill out. It was 6 weeks later that I was invited to attend a Come As Your Favorite Rock Star party. I went as Stevie Nicks from Fleetwood Mac, and when the only Elvis at the party walked in, he grabbed a chair, put it at my table. We spoke for 5 hours, and 5 days later he asked to marry me. Pete was everything that I had written in my decree to God. The Posse of Angels is reminding us that they are constantly arranging and rearranging connections for us and then sending us signs as to how and when to step forward. By listening and acting upon our intuitions, we allow ourselves to take advantage of God and the angels' heaven-sent clues that will lead us to experience magic manifesting in our lives. Now, there is a P.S. I never did end up employing that financial advisor professionally, for his role was simply to draw me to that shopping center and for me to receive that fortuitous heaven-sent reading with Mirabelle. And if you'd like help in following your intuition, I'd love to help you. You can call me at Angel Healing House at 831-277-3716. Thank you so much for watching my YouTube videos, and go out and fashion an absolutely beautiful life for yourself. Bye.